Welcome to our online chemistry class. Let us discuss transition and inner transition element part 2. In this part we have to discuss trends in atomic properties of first transition series, that is 3D series. So let us discuss first property, atomic and ionic radii. What is atomic radii? Atomic radii is the distance of valence electron from the nucleus of that atom, while ionic radii is the distance of that valence electron from the nucleus of an ion. So if atom is there, atomic radii; if it is ion, ionic radii. So atomic radii of the elements of transition series decreases gradually from left to right. So this is the general trend. It is applicable for all the elements. If we move from left to right in the period, the atomic size decreases. As we move across a transition series from left to right, the nuclear charge increases. So proton is positively charged. So that charge is called a nuclear charge by 1 unit at a time, because every time we add one proton to that nucleus in the period, if we move from left to right, the last filled electron entered in penultimate, means last but one, that is n minus 1 d subshell. However, d orbital in an atom has less penetrating or more diffuse shape, and therefore d electron offers smaller screening effect. Screening effect means inner electron create a shield between valence electron and your nucleus. That effect produced by the inner electrons are called as screening effect. So d electron offers smaller screening effect, and the result is that, what is the result? Effective nuclear charge increases. Okay, as atomic number increases along the transition series. Hence, atomic radii decreases gradually across the transition series from left to right. But from nickel to zinc, atomic radii slightly increases, and the reason behind that is due to smaller screening effect of 3D electrons, which is penultimate electrons. The first transition series shows variable oxidation state, and hence they show effect on ionic radii. So first is element having same oxidation state and increase in nuclear charge gradually decreases in atom ionic radii. Second effect is variable oxidation state have same element. So higher is the oxidation state, the effective nuclear charge also increases. Hence, decrease in ionic radii from cation of this element having oxidation state +2 to +3, that is M +2 to M +3. So we can see this in this figure, trends in atomic radii of d block element. So first series, that is 3D series from scandium to zinc, there is a gradual decrease in this atomic radii, and it's measured in nanometer. Okay, which is shown with this green line, and The blue line indicates the second series, that is 4D series, and red line indicates the 5D series. Okay, so you can check the values. This is not included for this year in your syllabus due to COVID-19. Then second property is ionization enthalpy. What is ionization enthalpy? It is the amount of energy required to remove most loosely bound, that is valence electron, from its outermost shell. So what is the trend from left to right? Atomic size decreases and increase in nuclear charge, hence increases the first ionization enthalpy. As we know that nuclear charge is directly proportional to ionization enthalpy, but it is ionization enthalpy is inversely proportional to atomic size. So as we earlier discussed, atomic size decreases from left to right. Definitely there is an increase in ionization enthalpy if we move from left to right in the period. And ionization enthalpy of this D block element lies between S and P block elements. Okay, so you can check the values in the table, and similarly trends in first ionization enthalpy of the D block element can be shown in the figure also. So titanium, vanadium, chromium, then manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel and copper. Slightly decrease for nickel, and in remaining cases, and copper, in remaining cases there is an increase in ionization enthalpy. If we check the first ionization enthalpy of this element, you can see the values up to iron, the value goes on increasing. Okay, and these values are mentioned in kilojoule per mole. Same, this table is also excluded from your board exam in 2021 due to COVID-19. Next one is the metallic character. Due to vacant d orbital in outermost shell and low ionization enthalpy, it is responsible for metallic character of that transition element. So two reasons are there. Hardness of the metals indicate presence of covalent bond. Due to presence of unpaired n-1 d electrons, nearly all transition elements shows hexagonal close packing. CCP and BCC. What is CCP? CCP is cubic close packed structures and BCC is body centered cubic structures. So due to this, BCC, CCP and HCP is lattice which are characteristics of true metals. So all of familiar with these metals are true metals like your iron, gold, copper. Next property is magnetic properties. Most of the transition metal ions and their compounds are paramagnetic in nature. What is the reason behind this paramagnetism? It is due to the presence of unpaired electrons in penultimate, that is n minus 1 d orbital. Number of unpaired electron increases the paramagnetic character, and those elements having paired electrons are dimagnetic, and these paired electrons also pairs the spin, and they show dimagnetic character. So how will you measure the magnetic character? And it is denoted by effective magnetic moment. It is denoted by mu effective, and what is the formula? Under root n into n plus 2, and what is the unit? It is Bohr magneton, Bm. A single unpaired electron has magnetic moment mu is equal to 1.73 Bm, whereas n is nothing but number of unpaired electron present in that atom. So if you observe the iron, it is called as ferromagnetic element or substance. It attracts very strongly the other elements or substances, and which are they? They are iron, cobalt and nickel. So what is ferromagnetism or ferromagnetic in nature? When magnetic field is applied externally, all the unpaired electrons in this metal and their compounds align in the direction of the applied magnetic field. Due to this, the magnetic susceptibility is increased, and these metals can be magnetized. That is, they acquire permanent magnetic moment, and that's why they are called as ferromagnetic substances. Okay. Next is, here is the magnetic moment of some ion or that cation of first transition series. The ions are here, outermost electronic configuration, number of unpaired electrons, then calculated value of magnetic moment, and these are the experimental value of this effective magnetic moment. Okay. Next is problem. So calculate spin only magnetic moment of divalent cation of transition metal having atomic number 25. So manganese is the element having atomic number is 25. How will you write the electronic configuration? It is very easy. Remember the number 25. So this 2 out of 25, these are the electrons of 4s, that is 4s2, and 5 is the electrons of 3d 3d5, except chromium and your copper. In remaining cases, you can easily write the electronic configuration by using atomic number. So if you remove the 2 electron from 4s, Mn gets converted to Mn2 plus, and now electronic configuration of Mn2 plus become argon 4s0 3d5. Now if you observe the 3d electrons, there are 5 d orbitals, and each d orbitals contain one electron, and it is unpaired electron having parallel spin. So n is equal to 5. N is nothing but number of unpaired electrons. So what is effective magnetic moment? Mu effective is equal to under root n into n plus 2. So under root 5 into 5 plus 2. So 5 into 7, and under root of that 35 is nothing but 5.92. What is the unit? It is Bohr magneton. don't forget to write the unit. So this is about the magnetic moment. Now next one is the color. The complexes of the d block metal ions are usually colored, except very often those of element having the electronic configuration is D0 and D10 in its metallic form. So compounds are colored due to the presence of incompletely filled n-1 d orbital. Then the electronic configuration of d electron within the d subshell, and this is known as DD transition. A substance appears colored if it absorbs a portion of visible light, and color depends on the wavelength of absorption in visible region of that electromagnetic radiation. The ionic and covalent compounds formed by these transition elements are colored, and these transition elements contain unpaired electron in d orbital. Okay, when the atoms are free or isolated, the 5d orbitals are degenerate. Degenerate means orbitals are having same energy. In complexes, the metal ion is surrounded by solvent molecules or ligand. The surrounding molecules affect the energy of d orbital, and their energies are no longer same. So due to the presence of ligand, the energy of the d orbital get changed. As the principal quantum number of d orbital is same, the amount of energy required for transition of electron from one d orbital to another is quite small. For example, your orbital is 3dxy to 3dyz, and that difference is very small. The small energy required for this transition is available by absorption of radiation having certain wavelength from visible region. Remaining light is transmitted, and the observed color of the compound correspond to the complementary color of the light that will absorb. So here is the diagram. In that diagram we'll see the colors. That means if red light is absorbed, then the transmitted light contains excess of other color in the spectrum. In particular blue, so the compound appears blue. Okay, the ions having no unpaired electrons are colorless. So for example, Cu1 plus, the copper electronic configuration is 4s1 3d10, and if it donate one electron from 4s, the Cu1 plus has electronic configuration is 4s0 3d10, and Ti4 plus, again the electronic configuration is 3d0. So in this diagram we will see the colors of 3D transition metal ions with respective wavelength. So let us see how the color of the transition metal ion depends on ligand and geometry of the complex formed by that metal ion. When cobalt chloride, so here is the correction, is dissolved in water, instead of Cu there is a Co. Two plus. CO2 plus dissolve in water, it forms pink solution of the complex. What is the complex? CO H2O 6 times, the charge on that complex is 2 plus. Okay. So it is pink in color, which has, what is the shape of this compound? It is octahedral shape. But when this solution is treated with concentrated hydrochloric acid, then the color of solution becomes deep blue. This change is due to the formation of another complex. And what is the complex? COCl4 2 minus. And what is the shape of this complex? It is tetrahedral in shape or tetrahedral structure. And what is the reaction? Reaction is here. COH2O 6 times, charge is 2 plus, which is pink in color, react with hydrochloric acid 4HCl or 4Cl minus, gives a deep blue color of COCl4 2 minus, and 6 water molecules will be formed. Then there are some reasons. So many time question may be asked, why the transition metals are colored. So you have to remember this. The colors of a transition metal ions are relates to, first, presence of unpaired n-1 d electrons, that is in penultimate shell. Then there is a DD transition. Then next one is nature of ligand attached to metal ion, and fourth is the geometry of complex. So all these are the factors which affect on the color. So main time question is, write down the factors which affect on the color of transition metal ions. So you have to write only these 4 factors. So I think all of you understood why the transition elements in their compound shows color nature. Next is the catalytic properties. So here just before that we'll see the color. So remember, if the electronic configuration is 3d0, that means there is no unpaired electron or 0 unpaired electron, or if the electronic configuration is having completely filled, that is 3d10, there is no unpaired electron. So in that case also your color of the compound is colorless, or there is no color. So you can see, if scandium is 3 plus, titanium 4 plus, that means 0 electron in their valence shell, or there is no unpaired electron, then they are colorless. Or when there are 10 electrons in the 3d orbital like Cu1 plus and Zn2 plus, these compounds are colorless. In remaining cases, if there is a 1 to 5 unpaired electron in their 3d orbitals, then this ion of the transition element shows color to their compounds. So next to that is catalytic properties. Most of the elements acts as a good catalyst because of first presence of d orbital, then variable oxidation state, third is tendency to form reaction intermediate with reactants. So there are some examples which compounds of iron, cobalt, nickel, palladium, platinum and chromium. They shows mainly catalyst in different reactions. Let us see some examples. MnO2 manganese dioxide acts as a catalyst for decomposition of KClO3 to oxygen. So potassium chlorate to oxygen conversion can be carried out with the help of MnO2. Then all are familiar with this conversion of alkyne into alkane can be carried out by using nickel or platinum or palladium. So that reaction is hydrogenation of unsaturated hydrocarbon. This nickel can also be used for hydrogenation of oils into solid fats, that is margarine. You can see the reaction in biomolecular topic. Then vanadium pentoxide is used in the manufacture of sulfuric acid. So you can check the reaction in p block element. Then TiCl3, it is used in the preparation of polythene. You can see the polymerization reaction, ethene to polythene. In that reaction TiCl3 is used. Then in manufacture of ammonia by Haber's process, that is N2 plus 3H2 gives 2 times NH3. In this reaction molybdenum and iron, they are used as a catalyst. Cobalt, thorium, it is also used in the synthesis of gasoline in Fischer-Tropsch process. Formation of interstitial compounds. When small atom like hydrogen, carbon or nitrogens are trapped in the interstitial space, means empty space within the crystal lattice, the compound formed are called as interstitial compounds. Sometimes sulfide and oxides are also trapped in the crystal lattice of transition elements. Steel, cast iron are the examples of interstitial compounds of carbon and iron. Due to presence of carbon, the malleability and ductility of iron is reduced, while tenacity increases. Which are the properties of this interstitial compound? They show same chemical property as that of parent metal. Then they are hard, good conductors of heat and electricity. Their melting points are higher than pure metals. Their densities are less than parent metals. Hydrides are powerful reducing agents of these transition metals, and metallic carbides are chemically inert, and they are extremely hard as like diamond. So this is about the interstitial compounds. Next to that is the formation of alloys. So transition metals forms alloys when atoms of one metal are distributed randomly in the lattice of another metal ion, and the metals with similar radii and similar properties readily form alloy. Alloys are classified into ferrous and non-ferrous alloy. So an atom of other element distributed randomly in the atoms of iron in the mixture, then that is, if it is iron, then it is ferrous alloy. Mixing of atom of transition metals other than iron with non-transition element, then it is non-ferrous alloy. So if it is iron, then it is ferrous alloy, otherwise it is non-ferrous alloy. And what is the example? Nickel, steel, chromium, steel, stainless steel. These are the examples of ferrous alloy. While non-ferrous alloy are brass. Brass is made up of from copper and zinc. Bronze, it is made up of from copper and Sn, tin. Then copper and nickel alloy, nickel and chromium is also nichrome is the alloy of these two elements. So this is about the difference between ferrous alloy and non-ferrous alloy. Then what is the use of these alloys? First, bronze, an alloy of copper and tin, are tough, strong and corrosion resistant. It is used for making of statues, medals and trophies. Then copper nickel, that is cupra nickel, it is also used as a alloy of, it is made up from copper and nickel, and it is used for making the machinery parts of marine ships, boats. Next alloy is stainless steel. It is well known. It is used in the construction of other fuselage of ultra light speed aircraft. Then next alloy is nichrome. It is an alloy of nickel and chromium. And what is the percentage of that two element? It is 80:20, and it is used in the specifically for gas turbine engine. One more alloy is titanium alloys. It withstands stress up to high temperature, and it is used for high speed flight and fireproof bulkheads and exhaust rods. So this is about the properties of transition metals of 3D series. So thank you for watching my YouTube channel, Mukesh Kharge.